We see her. Yeah, we good. You good.
I won't be messy. Sorry,
What's
I'm
up,
like,
y'all? What's up, y'all?
What's going
what's
on?
going on?
We just glad she on. I didn't know she talk on the mic. Did she do all that stuff? And is she behind the scenes first lady? Yeah, you. I don't know. Every
Now,
time
now,
Huh?
Every now and then.
that's right.
she up there and pray doing service and stuff.
She believes her ministry is me. I need a whole lot of ministry.
That's a whole lot of praying.
What? I kind of believe that.
Oh my gosh.
I believe that. I believe that. Look, take care of it. Somebody need to, right?
Listen, okay.
Hey y'all. Hey, what's up, Keith? Welcome to the SoundMind Panel. Y'all come on in. We're doing something. We should advertise this better. Doing something special tonight. We're doing something for mental health and emotional health for couples, because ain't nothing like a relationship to test your mental and your emotional health. Right. Look, I still remember. Somebody
Be
told me years
careful.
ago. I still remember. Somebody told me years ago when I was a teenager, the people you love the most make you the maddest.
It's the truth.
Yes, true.
Only the people that love you the most can really take you there.
Yeah.
Right? Strangers can't do it. The people that are closest to you, that love you, and I'm not even talking about just marriage. I'm talking about any relationship in general. Period in general. True. They take you there. So, protecting your emotional and your mental health, even in relationships, are important also. Yeah. But we're going to get into that and some different topics. Y'all come on in and share. Hey, Patricia. Hey, Anjanette. And please share this. Even if you're not married, you in any relationship at all, we're going to discuss those things. And of course, I'm Pastor Nick, and my wife is here, Reverend Smith. Reverend Smith. And then we have Pastor Corey Grice and his wife. I almost called you Pastor Hakia.
Well, don't you do that? Don't you?
But Corey from the faith movement. It's Pastor. Look, don't do it. Don't trust me. Don't do it. If you ain't called to it, just stay right where you are. Praise God. I know that's right. Just kidding. Anyway, y'all introduce yourselves. Tell us about where y'all from, how long y'all been married for, how y'all met. Just kind of give us a little brief information.
What's up? How we met?
Come on, talk.
That's how we met.
No, I'm born in Washington D.C. area. She is a Philly girl.
All the way.
Me too.
That's right.
So we are a D.C. We the Commanders now. The Commanders.
That is the worst name. I'm sorry. That name is horrible. Good.
Worst name in the world. But we've been married. This is 13 years. We on 13 years. We on 12. No, we on 12. Yeah, 12 years. This is 12 years. Year 12. We met at a birthday party for
a 1-year-old.
A 1-year-old, and she was staring at me. She couldn't. No, I was staring at her. I was checking her out like crazy, and I invited her to church that night.
That's how you know you saved your first.
No, he didn't show up. He did not show up.
I invited her to church, and I didn't come that night.
I had plans, and I canceled my plans and came to church, and he didn't even show up. That's all right.
That's sad.
I should have known that he was a sinner.
And we had a long distance thing for the first couple of years, first like 3 years dating. I was in Maryland.
Yeah.
She was still up here in Philadelphia, and I was only supposed to come back up to Philly for a month, and I ended up begging her to marry me.
Multiple times.
Begging her to marry me multiple times. I mean, Pastor Nick, I was in the middle of the street. Please, girl, take me back. Yeah. I bought a diamond ring that didn't do it. I bought diamond earrings that didn't do it. I bought a puppy, and Reverend Smith The rest is history.
That's what did it.
He did. He bought me a Pomeranian.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Oh
And,
man.
the year we got married, I got called to my first church the year we got married, and I think we ended up pregnant after that first year too. So
Yeah.
it was a big year for us.
Very.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can
Well,
see.
it's
I
good
can
to
see.
have you both. Nick, you want to tell you got to give them a bit of our story too, just a little
I'll
bit.
give a little smidge. Now, first off, I'll let y'all know we are going to cut up. Of course, Corey and I have been friends for a long. I can't even remember when we met.
Yeah.
I think it was right after both of us got married. I think.
Nah, you was at our wedding.
Yeah, no, Nick. I met you. Yeah.
Yes, you are actually in some of our wedding photos.
You don't even remember. Look.
You're getting old, Pastor Chris. You're getting old.
Are you
bro.
serious?
Yeah.
I didn't see these pictures because I met you through Pastor Sutton
Yes.
earlier than that. Yeah.
Yeah. I came
Yeah.
to Bethany. I come to Bethany a few times for Power of God. That's how.
Mhm.
Yeah. And we've been friends for a long time. So we act up a lot. Our text thread is funny. Just and then I met Hakia, then Tiff met Hakia and all this stuff. And so we cut up a little bit and laughed. Just
All right, I love you.
Yes.
I love you wholeheartedly. Please do not keep calling me Hakia.
what do you call you? What do you want me to call you?
Yeah. You can't keep
sorry.
putting the government out there like that.
Oh,
all
sorry.
It is.
Social media is Hakia. Oh, sorry, Kia.
Yeah.
That's how she knows. That's how you know she's from Philly. It's a that's how you know. I'm sorry, I got you. So, but
That's cool.
we when they talk about high school sweethearts, she was my junior high sweetheart. I had a crush on her when we met in junior high.
Wow.
She came to church. I was like, "Who this?" And I told my boy, I was like, "Yo, she cute." We was in seventh. I was in seventh grade, I think. She was a year ahead of me. And then we became friends when I was in the shut up. I was in the what was it? Ninth or 10th grade. We became friends.
Okay.
Started dating her junior year. And then we've been dating since about 16. She's 6 months older than me, so I can keep talking trash. What's bad was when I was a senior in high school, I was walking around telling everybody, "Yo, my girl's in college, yo." I was like, "My girl in college, like, what you
College girl.
you girl? She in college? No, she ain't. Like,
Oh,
shit,
extra.
freshman in college, bro." But we've been friends. We were friends first for a while, then started dating, then we got married. We waited to get married. I think we were 27.
Yeah, we wait a long time.
You were 27. I was 26. So we dated for about 10 years before we got married.
Wow.
She was still in school getting her master's degree. It just wasn't a good time for us with all that was going on. Plus, we weren't in the right mental and emotional space to get married.
Yeah.
My thought was I want to get married and like my spouse rather than get married and be miserable together. I didn't want that.
I mean,
So-
that don't sound great.
It's real though. I mean, I'm a very pragmatic person. It just it is what it is. It's just and you guys met when you're in your late 20s, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
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 Us as teenagers.
I was finishing seminary. Yeah, I was in my late 20s. Yeah.
Mid-20s.
Yeah, mid 20s. So
'Cause I got an older one too.
see, my man, yo, my man. But I say that because 16-year-old us, 25-year-old us, almost
Yeah.
those people that get married at 20 years old, 21, I don't know how they do it.
I would be divorced already.
Right, exactly. It just
Yeah.
the mindset and your taste change over time. Even I just turned 40. My taste, all of a sudden, I wanted to start wearing different stuff, and nobody told me. Just something happened, So evolving with your spouse is important
Yeah.
for a relationship to work. So we're gonna cut up, but we're gonna get to some serious stuff. So but anyway, that's our stories. We've been married all this time. We got 2 kids, 9-year-old and a 4-year-old. She'll be 5 in April. And we are done. Praise the Lord.
So are we.
So-
Listen. Thank God good.
That's why we forgot to say we got kids. We do got 3 kids.
So we got 2
That's
kids
the
and a
thing,
grown person.
We have a 21-year-old. We have a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old. right?
Thank you. This is
And
Tiff's
that's-
mother. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
And that's a challenge in and of itself. You know, my mind would have not been ready if I, at 20 years old, becoming a husband and a father at the same day. At the same time. I'm so glad I waited till I was knocking on that 30 door before I jumped in there, because my mind wasn't ready. My emotions weren't ready.
Yeah.
And we were together for years, but like Nick said, you're different people. Like, we were teenagers in high school, and then Nick was starting to pastor at that point. I was in school, and we had a solid relationship, but that doesn't mean that it was the right time for us to jump into getting married. I think we wanted to make sure we were actually adults and not just, going into a marriage, the 16-year-olds we started as, and here we are.
Yeah, I want to be settled, get my own house first, and all that stuff. Live by myself for a while, and kind of get. So I was emotionally and mentally ready to have somebody in my space. I know that sounds bad, but it's real though.
Well, I think that's a great thing. Some people literally go from their parents' house to living with somebody else, and I personally think that, for me, and stop talking about my sister, but for me, yeah, I think it's great to be able to transition. How to learn to live on your own before you go into that next step. So for me, it was great. And then even when he proposed the first time, I honestly don't think we were ready, but it was more so I really wasn't ready, even though we had talked about it before. But I think I wasn't ready, and that's some things that people really don't gauge, they don't pay attention to when it comes to themselves because of the idea of marriage.
Absolutely.
Let's talk around that then. Everybody goes into marriage with a certain idea. And something we kind of talked about in our last video. We all have different definitions of what marriage looks like. Parenting looks like, and then the problem is you end up getting married and both people are on different mindsets. And those different mindsets is like, well, this is what a good marriage looks like to me. This is what a good marriage looks like to me. And both of you are like, I'm not satisfied, because we're giving each other what we need individually rather than assessing what that person needs and giving them what they need. Selfishness to me is the biggest deal breaker of any relationship.
Sure. Absolutely.
The unwillingness to see the other person. It's more transactional. What can I get out of it rather than what I can give the other person? It doesn't mean we don't need stuff, because we all need stuff to be happy in a relationship. But I think that lack of servanthood is what messes a lot of us up.
Yeah, and I think that was the biggest barrier. And sometimes it can still be a barrier, right? That I need to we've had to remain intentional, or I have to remain intentional. My wife is a little more selfless than I am naturally, and I have to remain intentional to constantly think about, am I making sure she has what she needs at all times? Because I think that's what helps a marriage grow. That's what keeps it sustained. If I'm concerned, if I make my priority her needs, she makes her priority my needs, then there's not going to be much area of lacking. But you have to have the emotional and mental strength to say, hey, all right, am I being selfish at this moment? Right? What am I doing? Thank God for the Holy Ghost. Thank God for the Holy Spirit, right? Because that's the check I constantly have to have. Lord, the Lord is always saying to me, all right, bro, you saying too much, right? You complaining too much. That's all for me, right? I'm always like, oh, she ain't doing this, she ain't doing this, she ain't doing this. Those are things that are going in my mind. I'm not necessarily saying it out of my mouth, and I'm sure there's times my body language express that a lot, right? But thank God for the Holy Spirit, who continues to check me, like, hey, bro, you worry too much about what she got going on. The focus on making sure her needs are a priority in our relationship.
Yeah, I'm the opposite. I am naturally somebody that's always looking out for everybody else. So I think in the last few years, I would say about 2 years, that I had to learn how to adjust and take care of me, so I'm able to really give what I need to give. Because a lot of times I will always make sure everybody else, and then I'm wore out and I really can't give in areas that I need to. It's because I'm tired and I'm giving all, whether it's entirely my home, my marriage, and work.
Yeah.
So literally having to learn that self-care is not selfish.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's the way boys and girls are raised differently. Girls from early, you know, I look at my daughter now, she has a nurturing nature without anybody telling her. You know, it's just there. But also how we raise them. Girls are taught to be nurturers. Look what the toys the girls get versus boys. Y'all get Barbie dolls, playhouses, everything had to do with homes, relationships, etc. Right? Boys, we get competition gifts, go outside and play. Any girl that has brothers, I don't know about now, but back in the day, your brother could play all day. You had to help clean, you had to help wash dishes. And boys are raised, honestly, to a certain degree to be selfish. Girls are raised primarily to be caregivers, protective. And one of the worst statements I believe we can tell our boys is boys will be boys.
Worst thing you could ever say.
The reason why is because they never grew out of it.
Yeah.
And that's why you have men in their 30s and 40s still acting like they're 10 and selfish and not givers, because a part of that lack of training is, well, eventually he'll get it together.
Yeah.
Like life's gonna come and smack you, get you together. And I ain't gotta teach you nothing. Like for instance, we tell girls, protect your body. Don't give it up. Protect it. What do we tell our boys? Just don't get her pregnant.
Get all you can.
Right.
That's the conversation.
And then you got this guy who has no real character training, getting with a woman that has a lot of character training, and put them two together and wonder why you have these explosions because
he's stupid.
There you go.
We're not giving our boys the same character training that we give our girls.
But you know, I worked for a pediatric office for a number of years, and one of the doctors used to always tell some patients, you should let your boys play with dolls. I know when I was growing up, my brother had a Cabbage Patch doll. All of us had a boy Cabbage Patch, but you know, society has this thing that boys can't. But he was saying that he used to tell them it helps them to learn some nurturing as a kid. So don't be so quick to say, "Oh, don't do this, only girls," because women aren't the only people that raise kids. So if you let your son, you know, engage, not saying like, okay, play with Barbies or whatever, but just a baby doll, because it's a representation of a baby. So they learn how to be nurturers, but society has this thing where boys can't. That's only for girls. And just like the controversy with the last around Christmas was boys playing with kitchen sets. Men are chefs. Why they can't play with a kitchen set?
I do it in my house. Okay. Most of it.
I agree. I can't cook. Let's put that out there. I can't cook.
But she go verify it. I can't cook.
But that was something that was modeled in front of me, right? Most of the men in my family, when I talk to them, they're like, "Yeah, I do most of the cooking in my house," right? So I modeled that, and I try to do that. My son, you know, we cook. This is my oldest son. You know, that was our place of, you know, how we connect.
And I put everything together.
Yes, we kind of have opposite roles, right? Like, so I do a lot of the cooking, but when the stuff need to get repaired or put together, look.
I do most. It's evolved where I do most of the cooking now because where our schedules are.
Sure.
So, you know, I got to do, you know, she's working, so I got to cook, you know, for the kids, and then I make myself something. Plus, I'm impatient, so when I want to eat, I'm just going to, you know what I'm saying? But you're right. But stuff around the house needs to be fixed. Yo, sis.
That's right.
Yo, the toilet.
And here's what I say. I was like, if you want it done right, you
better go do it.
Right.
Because we know if I do it, she gonna come behind me to make sure I did it right anyway.
But I think what that shows is that every relationship has a different norm.
Yeah.
And the traditional confines aren't for everybody. Go ahead, Tiff. You was gonna say something good.
Yeah, just what you just said is that I think sometimes when we are thinking about marriage, there is a picture that we're idealizing, whether it's what we grew up seeing or what we imagine marriage to be. And sometimes if you can get pigeonholed into getting trying to recreate that imagery in your relationship and it doesn't work in your context. And I think a lot of married couples have to learn that it's okay that one person has a strength that you don't have and vice versa without expecting that they have to do it this way. I think that gets a lot of couples in trouble. Like, he's the man. He better be fixing stuff. He better be doing this, better be doing that, taking out this, do that. But, sometimes you have to pivot and do what's best for your relationship. So my dad was a fixer. And when me and Nick first got married, that was my expectation of him, right? Like, put the bikes together. Get in there and do it, right? Let's come on, right? And he was so frustrated. Like, I don't like it. Like, get ready to throw that hammer across the living room floor. Like, I can't stand this, Tiffany. I can't stand it, right?
Need somebody else to do it.
Like, get somebody else. Let's get somebody else. I was like, why are you so frustrated? It didn't resonate to me. Like, just do it, because I watched my dad do it. But because I watched my dad do it, I realized that I had the passion for doing it. And so I started picking up the drill and picking up the wrench and stuff like that and realized that I enjoyed it. And now that's something I actually embrace. And I'm like, let me do it. Bye. Go in the room, watch the game. Right? And I enjoy it. And it doesn't have to create conflict. I think a lot of couples have to learn what works for them.
Right.
That becomes love.
Yes.
Right. Instead of it becoming conflict in your marriage, it becomes like a way that you honor and respect each other's roles and their strengths and weaknesses without it becoming like a point of contention, which it often does unnecessarily.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think, Nick, you pointed it out. And as time grows on, as you grow, as you have children, those roles are going to change.
Yeah, absolutely.
COVID has turned me into Mr. Mom, right? I have been Mr. Mom. I work in the school district as an administrator, but when COVID happened, I had to come home, and the kids had to come home.
And I was working,
and she was out every day,
every morning. I have not stopped work.
That's right. Yeah.
I didn't realize what she was doing all the time, what the responsibility was all the time. I used to say to her sometimes, why you tired? You ain't doing nothing but taking care of the kids. What you tired for? Oh.
That's the wrong thing. That'll get you clean cussed out.
Yeah.
Listen, you don't say that no more after COVID. No, he done had some frustrating moments. He was like, listen, I'm tired. I done did this. And I'm sitting here like,
and now you want to touch me?
I'm tired.
Right.
I got a headache. Okay.
Right.
Because I'm like, you ready to watch something? He'd be like, watch something. I'm tired.
Like, yo, you dumb, yo.
I got a headache.
but certainly I appreciate the emotional stability that we have both had to have through this COVID transition. It's been unreal. Every day, every week changes, the schedule changes. And if her and I were not in a mental state, and honestly, we're talking about unconditional love, right? If we didn't set our course and our mindset that we're going to love each other regardless, no matter what comes up. Divorce it's not an option. It will never be an option for us.
Absolutely not.
But we set that course up from the very beginning because we saw what divorce did to my parents. Mm-hmm. We saw what the challenges of breaking and separating did to her parents. And we decided that was not going to be us. Mm-hmm. We made that decision from the beginning. And so making that decision and choosing to love each other has helped us manage through every transition. For sure.
And that flexibility of, because really still going around the whole thought process of expectations and, for the person being flexible with the changing seasons of, like I'll go back to the cooking thing. We first got married. She did most of the cooking.
Okay.
When kids came and schedules changed, it just changed everything. So I'm like, am I going to wait for her to get home to eat? I'm hungry now. So I'm just going to make it here. Food's ready. I'll leave and come to church. Dinner's done. You can eat what you want. Kids are fed. Dishes are in the dishwasher. Here's the food. I'll be back later. It when you love somebody, I'll do that for her. I ain't doing that for everybody else though.
Sure.
Right.
Because the people you love, you'll do things for. I remember my mom told me, this is why I was okay living by myself. She said, grew up with a single mom. She said, you have to learn how to cook, clean, wash your clothes, iron, do all that stuff. Just in case you don't have a wife there to do it. So when I was living by myself, I was fine. Know how to iron my clothes. The only thing I know how to do is sew. Know how to iron my clothes. I don't have the patience for that. I iron my clothes. If something break, call somebody get it fixed. Clean, do all that stuff.
Yeah.
So, but a lot of boys unfortunately aren't raised like that. So when they get on their own, they have no idea what to do. Because we got to change how we raise our boys and teach them the same characteristics that we teach to our girls. Value yourself, value your body, your mind, all that good stuff. Because we got too many grown boys that are, I ain't trying to dog on men, but it's just real though. And at the same time, the problem is here's the flip side. A lot of girls were raised so strict, they learned how to be sneaky. Let's have this other conversation too. And learn how can I say this nicely? Certain responsibilities would be accountable.
Okay.
And they'll skirt around it because they had to learn how to navigate doing what they were doing without getting caught. That's why women can cheat better than most men, because they
Oh geez.
We have a real conversation here. I'm just saying. I'm not saying they all cheat. I'm just saying that
you cheat better.
It's not sloppy.
It's not sloppy.
It ain't sloppy. I mean, I'm just saying, and so you bring in, watch this. Both sides act like children in different areas.
True.
And then they blame the other one for acting like a little kid, but it's just you're acting grown in one area where I'm acting like a child, and then vice versa.
Yeah.
And marriage is a revealer, and that's what people don't talk about. Marriage is a revealer. It reveals you. You're good, you're bad, all that good stuff. I'm sorry, I'm good.
No, you brought up an interesting point. One of the things that when Key and I got married, my oldest son was Prince Hakeem when we got married. I mean, this guy had red carpet treatment at all times, from mama, grandmama, auntie. I mean, he didn't do anything but just wake up and they brought it to him, brother. All right. No, that's like one of the things that Key and I had to one of the things we had to overcome is her allowing me to be a father to him. Right. But one of the things I had to tell her, listen, you see that I cook, I clean, I iron, I take care of myself. These things that you see me. The reason why you love me so much is because I'm domestic. That's one of the things you love. I can do a lot of stuff. Please allow me the space to teach my son those things as well. Right. She thought maybe it was too early because we got together. He was 5. I want him take that trash out, bro. You 5, take that trash out. Wash these dishes. Come on.
It wasn't a problem taking the trash out. It was that I lived in some called Northern Liberties, but it's North Philly.
right.
But like you said, allowing me the space to be able to teach him how so he could take care of himself, right? Yeah. And a lot of times we get protective, particularly with our boys. Mothers get very protective with their boys. When fathers are trying to instill some stuff, teach some stuff, train some stuff, but it's absolutely necessary. We have to change the paradigm so that we don't keep these patterns, right? We don't keep these immature patterns that continue to debilitate our marriages.
No, you know what part of my issue was when looking back, it really wasn't that I wanted to do it, like didn't want you to teach him. Is that I didn't do things before because when I realized I wanted stuff done right. and I realized that it was just the anal part of me. No, I don't want you to wash this because, you know, even though you're supposed to teach the little kids how to wash the dishes, I hate having to go in and wash right after you. So I feel like I need to do it myself. So it's done right the first time. Which, in hindsight, if you think about it, that's not what they taught us. You know, your parents didn't care. Go in there, and if it wasn't done right, you're gonna go back and do it again. I'm just the opposite. I'm just like, if I want it done right. I mean, think about it with the laundry. How long did it take for you to do laundry?
She just let me start doing laundry like last. I could do it. I was doing it for years before I met her, right? She just let me start doing it.
It's just the anal part of me. I think that's what it is.
I can see that.
I graduated to doing laundry now. after 12 years of being married, I can finally
do laundry. I'm just relaxing, man. See,
it is.
I like doing laundry. She doesn't like doing laundry like that. I don't mind.
And I'll sit and fold clothes. I don't even care.
Like it.
I don't mind, you know. But
I will say, I remember that when we were doing premarital counseling, Kia, you mentioned this earlier. So I didn't get a chance to live on my own prior to us getting married. And I wanted to, and it was Nick that like tried to get me not to, so we could save up because we knew we were going to get married, right? But I wanted out, right? I know my mom was listening. No offense, but I wanted out. Okay, I'm like, I'm getting older. I want to get out. But I was in grad school. We were already planning to get married, so he told me to hold off on getting my own place so that we can save up and things like that. But I do remember that in premarital counseling, one of the questions that Bishop asked, since I was going right into marriage, was, has Tiffany moved from being taken care of to being able to care for? And Nick said yes. And that's when I figured I'm ready for marriage now. Because I think that's important in marriage, is that like you're able to move from being the person that everybody's taking care of to being able to care for another person. Right. And in marriage, I feel like a lot of people want to get married, but they're not ready for that. They're still thinking very individualistic and about themselves, but not really ready to accommodate somebody else's needs into their life. And then you got a whole lot of mess, right? A lot of selfishness, selfish agendas. And I don't know how anybody thinks that that's going to work in a marriage.
Good luck.
I don't think I recognized how many issues I had till I got married, right? I didn't realize how crazy I was. Jesus, man, I am nuts, man.
Right.
So, you know, I really do thank God for the unconditional love that he has shown me through my wife. I've come to know God's unconditional love because of the love that my wife has showed me, because yes, I was preaching the gospel, right? I was traveling, I was leading, I had degrees, but emotionally, I was a wreck. And like you said, marriage is a revealer. You don't know how unstable you are until that pressure of being with somebody every single day.
And there is no, you know what, I ain't gonna see them for a week or so. No. You gotta go right back home after work and see the same person that might be working your nerves.
I'll never forget, Kia was like, Corey, you know, we dated for long distance for the first couple of years. So you know the long distance me. You don't know the everyday.
I mean, it's true.
I said, okay, you're right. I know.
He will always say, "Oh, I know you." No, you really don't know me. You know the weekend me. Maybe we'll spend a week here, but it's different when you are literally with that person. But one thing, I feel like people, you know, some people always want to get around premarital, or they don't want to do any type of counseling. Listen,
that saved us.
It still helps.
Sure.
Just talking to somebody to this day, like literally, you need those moments just to purge. And it may not even be with your marriage, just your everyday life. Let me purge, get this out. So when I go home, I'm not having to wait of everything that happened at work, or somebody driving me crazy, and I'm not taking it out on my husband or my wife or my children, because then that creates conflict and you didn't even mean to, because it has nothing to do with them. Like, that thing, I tell people all the time, they're like, you see somebody? Yes. Like, yes. Listen, when they drive me crazy, I'm like, let me call her right now. I need to talk. Like, I get this out now. And people don't realize that you hold so much that it creates conflict where you really don't want it. Yeah. You don't need it. And it's unnecessary.
And we're intentional. Every year we go see the same person that did our premarital counseling. We still go see her every year.
Yes.
Oh, that's good.
We do at least a month, maybe a month, 3 or 4 sessions with her, just kind of checking on, making sure our codependence ain't killing us. Right? But it's necessary.
It is.
It's absolutely necessary.
And nothing has to be wrong. And that's I think the perception people get. They
think say that again.
Something wrong. Nothing has to be wrong. I feel like therapy is very healthy. Yeah. Even when you are in a good place, sometimes when you talk to somebody else, you realize that you was holding on to something that you didn't even notice, and it was weighing you down, and it caused that that friction. And it's like, I don't want that. Nope. I want to keep loving, and I want that love right back.
Yeah. Sometimes familiarity will cause like a disconnect in communication. Like I have so many couples that I have, and they know they use the excuse that they know their partner so well that they start making assumptions about their response instead of talking to them. And so you don't want to like let your familiarity breed resentment, because then you're like holding in stuff that you need to say to your partner. And like and I think counseling is good for that, like being able to say stuff that you start to hold on really tightly to, because even though you're married and you're joined with somebody, you're still an individual. You still have separate needs. You still have separate desires. You still have different needs for intimacy and different communication styles. And I think sometimes we start hiding that a little bit, be like, you know what, they just want to get all, I'll feel like it, not today. Like where I know this is going, I'm good. Good night. Right. And then your spouse comes in, what's wrong? You good? Yep. Because I don't feel like it tonight. Right. But then that spirals sometimes into other things. And then when you have an opportunity to talk about it, all this stuff that you've been holding in comes up, and you could like have killed that a long time ago if you would have just dealt with it. That's one thing I love about the fact that Nick and I were best friends before we even started dating, is because we rely on that today. Like we're able to like have very tough conversations, be upset with each other, but work on resolve, because you need that in a marriage. Like,
absolutely.
Need it.
I know you do, Jeff. I know you do.
You'll be on my side.
Oh, I'm on your side. That's why I pray for her every day. I pray for her.
Thank you.
I'm on the list. All right?
Lord have mercy.
How has that friendship continued to preserve you two?
Oh my gosh.
I think I think it's the foundation of our relationship, really.
Okay.
We're friends first, married and all this stuff after.
Yeah.
I think that's what helps our relationship. It's not that we ever have difficulty. Put it this way, we've been together since we were 16. There's only been one time that we ever raised our voices at each other, and it was only for 5 seconds.
Wow.
Once. When we talk, they're low tone, they could be heated, intense, but we've never raised our voices at each other except that one time, and it was real fast and was done. And it surprised both of us.
Yeah, we were like, okay, wait.
Yeah, like this is not right.
Slow down.
We don't do this, right? We don't do this because the basis of our friendship before we even started dating was conversation, talking, blah, say blah.
Yeah.
I know we're weird, y'all. We're strange. We're not trying to say everybody. Just I don't like to argue. Yeah. She doesn't like to argue. I'm like, yo, let's talk about it. Let's fix it. so we can move on. One of the things I don't ever want to have is to have tension in my house for like weeks and months at a time.
Yeah.
My house is supposed to be my place of peace.
Yes.
I want it to be a peaceful place. So if we got to stay up till 3 o'clock in the morning dealing with this, and the next day talk about it again, we're going to deal with this.
Yeah.
So we can at least come home and have some measure of calm from all the crap that's going on in the world.
Yeah.
But I think that's a part of our temperaments.
Yeah.
You know, I don't like a lot of unresolved stuff sitting around. And I'm a natural, I'm more the aggressive one of the two of us, as y'all probably see.
Shocker.
I'm like, yo, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Right. Let's talk about it. She's more diplomatic than I am. Let's talk about it. You know, let's hit it on the head, because I like my personal space is important to me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And if my personal space is uncomfortable, I'm not happy. And if I'm not happy, I'm a grumpy person, and you don't want me to be that person. So let's deal with this now, so I don't have to go to that side of it. You know what I'm saying? But I think that friendship, like we joke, God forbid ever happen. We joke like, oh, even if something ever happened, we got divorced, we probably still be calling each other, hey, what's going on? You know what I mean? But it's like, what'd he do? He did what to you? Like,
you know, need to come over.
Right, you need to come over. You better leave my ex-husband alone. You know, just like, but I think that's helped us. Because I want what's best for her, she wants what's best for me. And again, it goes back to that considering the other before you consider yourself type thing.
There we go.
And being able to, and part of the agreement of our relationship is having these difficult conversations. I was like, I'm not getting married so we can be walking around here and pissed off at each other for 5 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't want that. I don't want that we growing apart and we don't like each other, and when the kids leave the house, we can't stand each other. I don't want that. You know, and I'm not throwing shade at anybody. You know, people are in situation because, you know, but that we know the reality of what happens, like you said, with the two of you, with your parents. It's just so anyway, in a nutshell, our best friend part really helps us along the way. So much so, going back to something where she talked about her not living alone, I actually helped her decorate. I brought her, when I bought my house, we weren't engaged yet, but I let her decorate the house because I wanted her to be comfortable when she moved in, so it could be something once we got married. This is the place that I helped create, not because when I was living by myself, I just had a TV stand.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
You know, pictures in the house. Had couches. I had couch, bedroom set, the basics.
You don't need
what else I need, you know? She came in, put this here, spent all the money up, putting this over there. But I didn't say anything. But I went to pick bedroom set, couches. She was there with me. Which one do you like? Cool. We picked, you know, because I wanted her to feel comfortable in that space. But that's just me. But anyway, sorry.
I tend to be, as I was thinking, I tend to be the one that I'm not anymore. I think I'm
the one to talk right then and there.
I want to talk right then and there.
Yeah, I don't want to talk right then and there. I need.
She need a moment, but when she talks, she don't want to talk long. See, I want to talk. I need to hash it all out. I need to know who, what, when, where, why. She be like, I told you that already. I'm not saying it no more. That was early. That's not now.
No, that's not now. I used to be like, what is wrong with him? Like, why I don't get it? I was a like real hothead. Like scare myself hothead. Like it was bad. So, and I haven't been like that since my early 20s. Like I'm talking about like 2021. And so for me, I can't talk right in that moment. I literally need I need a moment.
Yeah. And
sometimes that moment might be a day or two because I have to decompress, come down so I don't fly off the handle. And that's my thing. And for us, it was in the beginning, it was a struggle because he like, oh, we gonna talk. And I'm like, I'm trying not to kill you. Like, talk right now.
and our premarital counselor, when we needed to have those tough conversations, that became the safe space for a little while until we found our safe space.
Right.
that became the safe space for us to tackle some of those issues, and partly because, and let me just be transparent, I was too blinded by my own trauma sometimes to have a competent conversation about what was going on between us, and we needed that third voice at times, at least I did, to say, hey Corey, bro, you crazy, right? This your childhood stuff, right? It's your trauma talk, and this your unresolved pain. But I'm glad that we have grown through this, and I can say authentically, this is my best friend.
Oh yeah.
I know you do, girl.
Did you
But it's the unconditional love that she has shown through the healing that needed to take place in my life.
Yeah.
The maturity, the growing that I still needed to do, that has proven that she's just not my wife. She is my friend. You know, and I'll say it, she's a covering for me, right? I know we don't like to talk about, you know, your wife being your covering is always the man, but this is my covering.
No, it should be.
This is my protector. She the one that I'll tend to be very visionary, heady, talking in the glory cloud, and she like, come
Bring it
in. Back to more food, bro.
but you're, I'm sorry, go ahead, Keith. Sorry.
I was gonna say, we just another thing with marriage though is like their role reversal, because in his time where you needed me to be that unconditional love, it's been times where I've gone through some stuff and a roles reverse, and because of the love I can lean in, and no matter what, I know this is my safe space. Yeah. I can go talk to him if I need to snot cry. Here, you know, and it helps. That helps that longevity, because it's like now I know I can go to this person. I don't have to worry about anything. I feel safe, you know, to be able to talk and know that no matter what, he's still gonna love me.
Yeah. I think in our relationship, early in our relationship, hear me out when I say this, y'all. She needed me more in those situations because some of the stuff that she experienced, some events that were happening. So I acted more of a covering emotionally and psychologically and support and venting and, you know, all that stuff. And I was fine. Then my grandfather passed years ago.
Yeah.
And my father wasn't around, but my grandfather was. So that was like a double impact. So then some other stuff happened. And now more recently, you know, she's been really covering and holding me up emotionally and psychologically because of all the stuff that I've been dealing with for the past 4 or 5 years. You know what I'm saying? So I think it does, you know, and it shows you how much you need the person, you desire the person, and that's where you see, is this person really my friend and can they help me?
Yeah.
Right.
You know, even if it's just them hugging you just for a minute, because some stuff words can't fix, but just the fact that they're present kind of helps balance all of that out, you know? And people always talk about how, you know, ladies like to lay on their man when they go to sleep. There are some guys, they be like,
yup.
You know, get a little, you know, just lay there. So how was your day? You know, what's going on? You know what I mean? Just, how's life treating you? You know, just, but everybody needs something different in different phases of their life.
Right.
Spouse should be there to provide as much as they can during that season, but it flip-flops.
Flip-flops all the time.
You know, based off of what's going on in each person's life.
Right.
You know, and the 4 of us ain't getting no younger. So, you know, stuff changing.
Oh man.
But I do want to get into a little bit.
I'm sorry, you got me thinking, like, wait, hold up.
Hey, Nikki, you kind of leaning in on this 40 thing really hard, bro.
You know what it is? You know, you turned 40. You know, you're not older than me, are you?
I turned 40 in August last year. This is beef year.
You're a couple months older than me. Yes. You know, but you know, I don't know what it is. Like every 10 years, my perspective on stuff kind of, when I turned 30, I woke up and I said something. I had to apologize to God because it clicked. I was like, yo, you're 30, you're almost 40. So now I'm 40. I'm like, I really need to, because I'm thinking about kids' college. I'm thinking about, God, Lord willing, he'll let me work a long time, taking care of our parents.
Sure.
Yeah.
All that stuff is going through my head. The reality of the full responsibility of
adulting.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Our parents are in their 60s. They're going to retire eventually, and they're probably going to need help from us. And and then the reality of the people that are their parents, both of my grandmas are still alive. Well, one of her grandmas still alive. They're all in their 80s, and the reality of they're not getting any younger. All that kind of plays into that. That's why I'm leaning into this 40s thing. I'm seeing a little more seriously. Like,
you sure you ain't older than Tiff?
Yeah,
I have an old soul. I grew up around a lot of adults. I hung around a lot of older people.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I'm trying to ignore it all. All right,
I'm embracing 40. I'm embracing it. People like 40 is the new 20. No, 40 is 40. Stop.
40 is
40.
40 is 40.
40 is 40.
No, I'm 21 plus.
But I do want to bring up, because you have the book Blended. Talk about blending in that dynamic, how people are coming to a marriage with somebody who has children already. Okay. We weren't in that situation. So kind of y'all two talk about that.
So one of the things that we talk about in the book Blended is creating a new culture, right? You and Tiff alluded to it earlier, how we all come to the table with culture, different kind of foods that we eat, how we shop for things, and those things can be big, serious moments of contention. I mean, what we gonna put in the refrigerator? I mean, she used to buy this thing called turkey chops. I never heard of it a day in my life.
You know, turkey chops,
right?
I never
because he bougie. He was born in Montgomery County, Maryland. He bougie, so he don't know. I'm like, a turkey. He's like, is that real? Yes, they take the whole turkey and slice it.
I never seen it a day in my life. Okay, all right.
He says all you eat is turkey chops.
I mean, food, how you're going to arrange things out. So we all come with different cultures. So one of the things that we decided to do is to create our own culture in our home. We had to be willing to let go of the things or see what worked in our previous, and how we were raised, see what worked. See what did not work, see what benefited us and what did not benefit us. And we decided we're going to create a new culture. And that has created an adventure for us. That we have intentional about seeing how are we going to do things in our life, what kind of culture, how do we want our kids to respond, what do we want them to act like, what do we want their values to be.
I was gonna say, and it can be a little difficult because you're gonna have that struggle in the beginning, because when you have a child already,
there's already a culture there.
I was gonna say it's something that's already started, so they're used to a certain norm.
Yeah.
Unlike when you're two people that don't have any kids, when you do start having a family, you can say, hey, let's do this, let's do that. And some things are really just go with the flow, even if you come from two different backgrounds and grew up totally different. But when it's already something that's established, you gotta think it's not just two adults, a baby how to do things, and then a toddler how to do things. You might be teaching a toddler or someone that's a little bit older, okay, this is what's going to happen. So it's not just those two parents. You have three people or however many children, because it's a different dynamic. And it's not just the adults. You really have to consider the kids at that point. And sometimes adults come in together and they don't think about the kids. It's always, oh, we're grown. No, there are people and things were done a certain way. Yeah. So you wondering why you have these teenagers that don't like the step parent is because nobody considered them. It was, oh, I'm the adult, this is what you're going to do. Yeah. No, we literally adults have to sit down and figure out what they want to do. And then you got to sit down with your child and figure out not figure out, but talk to them about some different things that actually going to change within the family dynamic.
Yeah.
I actually think that is excellent. I have a few clients that are young people whose parents who come from blended families, and that's a major issue for them, is how their parents got married. So they have a new step parent, And when I asked them, what was the conversation like with you? And they were like, what conversation? Like, we didn't know nothing until they came and said, this is my new such and such. And then all of a sudden this man moves in the house, bossing me around, telling me what to do. And I'm like, whoo, you know, that's traumatic.
Yeah, we had that conversation.
I'll never forget the time my son was like, we were a couple years in, and he was a little older. He was like, you and my mom never came to me and asked for my permission to get married.
And then like 3 months old, we were like, wait a minute, hold up. Ask for permission.
And he said this because this was a very emotional moment for him. He was like, I feel like I lost my mom when you married. But what I had to remind my son is, you didn't lose your mom. You gained another father. You gained another set of grandparents, 2 sets of grandparents. You've gained more brothers and sisters. You've gained 19 more uncles, because all of my friends and my brothers, you know, all of my friends I consider my brothers. You've gained more uncles. And so I had to help him change his perspective of what he thought he lost when he really gained a whole lot more. And you know, that is some of the things that we try to challenge our parents who are blending the families. You know, yes, there is going to be loss. You lose your culture and you're going to grieve. There's going to be grief in that experience. But we have to continue to point to things that validate the experience. So another point that we put in the book, we talked about validation. So one thing that we do is we have something called the seat of honor in our house. So when we have dinner or when we go to bed, somebody gets to sit in the seat of honor, and everybody around the house gets to say 3 things that they love and value about that person.
And the youngest loves it.
Oh,
he always like, don't let us forget.
It's my turn to sit in the seat.
Don't let us, we didn't do the seat of honor tonight.
But as a person who grew up insecure, you know, having a lot of insecurities, I needed that I found myself looking for that validation outside. So what we wanted to do, we wanted to make sure that our kids always felt validated. So that's one thing that we do, and we all take the time. Kia has a turn, I have a turn, all the kids have a turn, and we make sure that everybody had, even in those difficult days when ain't nobody got nothing to say about it.
Repeat whatever he said.
Make sure that we make that a point of validating, and it has created safe space in our home. It's created love, friendship, fun. You know, it continues to build on the validation that we all desperately are looking for. And when we don't have validation at home, we seek it out in other places. We seek it out. We seek that affirmation out in any place, and we'll give up our time. We'll give up our bodies. We'll give up our money for that affirmation. And I never want my kids. We never wanted our children to have to go outside the family, outside of this safe place to find that validation.
Yeah, because they should really be a reflection of what the parents are, the unit, and so the relationship with the kids should be a reflection of what's happening in the marriage in a positive way, because otherwise it'll work the opposite. That they'll reflect the lack of communication, the lack of empathy and validation, and it's twofold. So I think that the open conversation, especially with older children, is extremely important.
Yeah,
that's how they learn.
Right.
Exactly.
And we let them know that you can talk about anything, and it could be some of the dumbest stuff, the craziest things, but you know, no matter how young or how old they are, just make them feel like no question is a dumb question. Whatever you want to ask. That way, you know, when they're going through those difficult times, it's like, oh, I can go home and ask mom and dad, and then talk to me about whatever, you know, and that's a huge thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's good. I actually like it because I know. Full transparency I'm not the best talker in the morning.
Okay.
We talked about the marriage thing. She is.
Why do you keep saying that? Listen. I'm not a morning person.
Listen, compared to me, I'd rather not talk. She'll be like, hey, hope your day's going good. I'm like, it's nice. Yeah. So my son is like her.
He's on
but I'm talking about personality wise. They're, hey, good morning, hi, and just my daughter, hi. She look at you like,
yeah, she does. She be like,
he is me in the morning. He is me in the morning. So I purposely, because I don't want her to have that same thing. Okay. Hi, and she look at me. I said hello. I said good morning until she kind of starts. But I recognize that. I recognize that. Now, I'm getting better, but I don't want her to have that, that thing either, because her brother comes in, good morning, and she looks at him. He's like, you didn't say good morning to me. And I'm like, oh God, here we go. Girl, let's say good morning to your brother. Just but maybe that's another topic we could talk about, is seeing you and your kids.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
And how to work that out.
Do we really need to talk about that?
I think it would be good for us to have a conversation, even if it's a link that we have a couple session where we talk about seeing yourself and your kids and how to pass them your strengths and help them become better than you in the area of your weaknesses. So
it's the discipline in you in them that drives you.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Right.
How to see yourself and not be triggered when you see it.
Because I still contend the child that the parent has the most issues with is usually the one that's the most like the parent.
Very true.
I still contend.
Oh yeah.
You know what's crazy though? Our youngest drives everybody crazy. And what we always say is Madison got the good out of both of us. Mm. And Vincent,
he's just very active. That's all.
Is that a faith statement? Is that what? Okay. No, he gets it honest, bro. My boy gets it honest, man. I can't help but to see myself every day, and I was a terror to my parents.
And the thing is, because his behavior, I had to ask Corey's mom one time. I was like, "Yo, what is it?" She was like, "Oh, that is Corey." Now, what I will say is his mouth, though, that's all me, and it drives me absolutely insane. That mouth, I'm like, ooh.
I can see that, because I think that Tiff may think it's kind of crazy, but my son is a lot like her. They're basically like silly, like to have a good time. My daughter is me in that area, but she also has my sensitive nature too. Mm-hmm. I know people don't think I believe, but I am sensitive. She's very sensitive too. I'm an adult, so I manage it better. Hey, why are you looking like that? You surprised? It's just
I don't ever known you to be sensitive.
I'm
very sensitive.
But we always if the opportunity presented itself, you would see that side of me. Sure. But it's there. It's just I manage it better as an adult, But I think that sensitivity is there. But as Bishop says, I think. He says, how he said that God keeps his sensitivities there to help him pastor people.
True.
My sensitivities are there to help me have more compassion, humility, and patience.
Absolutely.
With other people.
Absolutely.
Ooh, that girl, she be, but, and her feelings get hurt. So I'm like, girl, come on.
Like y'all said, though, she like when you see yourself in them, like now it drives me nuts. Now when my mom used to talk about me, like Tiffany will tell you the truth, right? But now when she does it, it drives me nuts, right? And like I'll get on my son's case about his schoolwork, and she'll be sitting there, she's like, "Mommy, well, he wouldn't cry if you would stop yelling at him," And I'm like, "Little girl, do you want me to yell at you?" No. You want me to yell at you? No. And she's like, "What? But you're yelling at him." I'm not yelling at him. Yes, you are.
That's the guilt talking. That's the guilt talking. But that might be good for us to do. Maybe we can do it. Well, I'll chat with Maya and see what's on the schedule for the next couple. Well, I help create the schedule, but still, we'll talk. And Pastor P about this and stuff, and my wife about this, and we'll figure it out. But I think that'd be good to do a series on parenting.
Absolutely.
As my mom used to say all the time, there's no rule book for parenting. She said it to us all the time. Ain't no manual. It's like you learn as you go. But thank y'all for coming on. We're over time. Sorry, y'all. Thanks for staying with us.
Having us.
We gotta do this again. And when COVID's over, me and Corey, we have no problem. We usually go out to eat a couple times.
Always.
Maybe I don't double date. I never did it before, and maybe I would love to do it with y'all. I would love to stand with y'all.
We can because I love to.
I know. We can do it. We'll name the spot and we'll have some fun.
Absolutely.
All right, y'all. Thank you, everybody, joining. We love y'all, and we'll see y'all later. Bye, y'all.
All right,
y'all.
guys.